Many blessings, my loves. My name is Rebecca, and this is my report for Pillars of the Moon for the upcoming full moon lunar eclipse, which is coming up. And yeah, so welcome everyone. I'm sitting here today with a beautiful Avalon apple. So many of you know that I am blessed to live in these sacred lands. Some call her Avalon. And yeah, so I feel really cool today, to share around the magic of the apple. And if you look in here, like I've just cut it in half, you can see the five-pointed star in there, which is connected to Venus, the star of Venus. And so Venus is the seeds, and I'm holding the seeds in my hand, and there was actually, I counted 8 seeds inside of the apple, which is the 8-year cycle of Venus. Like, that's so amazing. And in Venusian years, it's 13 years. So I hope you all had a wonderful Friday the 13th, last Friday. Um, yeah, really celebrating Venus at the moment. She is conjunct fixed star Spica in the constellation Virgo as well right now. So that feels really special for this like full moon as well. And so yeah, I wanted to share with you a bit from Bernadette Brady before I jumped into the sky and the charts and everything about Spica, because Venus connecting to the seeds of the cycle. This time of year in the UK, we're harvesting apples, and we've got apple workshops coming up, and we're doing apple rituals, and we're making apple potions and things. It's a very apple focused time. And in a lot of the old mythologies, the apple is connected to Merlin and the orchard, that if you was to eat an apple from this special orchard, that you would gain special knowledge from eating the apple. And there's so much symbology about the apple and Adam and Eve and Lilith and all of that as well. So actually, I could ramble on about apples all day, but what I'm really wanting to say, get to the point. What I'm really wanting to say is that inside of the apple, is the seeds. And the seeds represent Venus. It represents all that we value and love and we want to grow in the next year, the next cycle. So I think this eclipse season is really, really about so much to do with like our gifts. Spica is connected to our brilliance. And so right now we could be harvesting seeds, the seeds of our brilliance and our gifts. And it's a really amazing time now with the energy of Virgo, who is the priestess. Let's call her Virgo Isis. It's the energy of the priestess who knows what to do with the harvest. She's the medicine woman. Um, and so if we have the intention with these seeds, this is why we do rituals around this time, connecting to the seeds that are inside the apple, that we can set intentions and take them down into the womb of the winter and gestate those seeds inside and watch them bubbling up inside of us until the spring, and then they come out again into the light of a new cycle. But it all begins in the dark of the womb, and so this is the work of the priestess of Virgo Isis now, to cultivate and harvest the seeds, to do the work now, to plant and these intentions down into our being, into our womb, into the land, into wherever we're gonna, even into our consciousness, to our conscious awareness, to do rituals around, what do we want to grow in the next year? What do we want to see blossoming in us? What gifts are we ready to share? So yeah, Bernadette Brady talks about the fixed stars. This is her book that I quite often turn to for advice on the fixed stars. And she talks about Spica being The gift, Spica is considered a symbol of her gifts to humankind. So this is the gift of the harvest and the bounty. And so this time of year, we're harvesting all of the gifts of the year. And it's in doing this that we gain knowledge and wisdom and maturing from the teachings that we get from reflecting back through the cycle. So I love to refer to the land and the cycle of the land as a reflection of the inner worlds and how everything is reflecting us, right? So, what did well this year, not only in our garden, but in our life? What grew, what blossomed, what didn't, what was there space for? What do we need more space for? What has been really prominent for us this year? So the energy of Virgo and the energy of the harvest is really about harvesting the gifts of the year. And Spica is really about, yeah, the gifts of the harvest and bounty and the symbol of knowledge and insights that were respected. It says that it has a potential for brilliance in whatever it touches in our chart. The ancient Egyptians also believed that Spica had a connection to um, Isis. Spica represents the gift of brilliance, a hidden or obvious talent, skill, or ability that is out of the ordinary. It's the places where we're gifted, and we are all gifted at something that's very natural to us that we are, it just comes like we don't even have to work at it. Some of us are amazing musicians and artists, and some of us are really organized and great at, or some of us are great speakers and communicators, so we all have different gifts in this world. And this is the energy of Spica, where Venus is right now. Venus in the sky at the time of this full moon is in trine to Jupiter, who's over in Taurus. This is a really fertile energy. So, we could be really tuning into, when the sun comes round into Taurus next year, and we're going to be having, that would be just after our next load of eclipses. There will be like this time of growth and blossoming of these very seeds that I hold in my hand right now, and so this is the power of working with the cycle and the stars and how everything's bloody connected. And so those of you who are in the southern hemisphere, you really are like, you are now seeing the seeds of the spring coming up into the light from all that you did last winter, autumn and winter, to grow these seeds inside of you. And now you'll be starting to take action to move out into the light and really and this is also helpful with the Virgo energy on the flip side of it. It's like, it's the energy of spring cleaning and getting things moving and kind of shaking up the energy into the change that is now. So for us in the northern hemisphere, we are changing into the autumn winter time. So we have our autumn equinox as well on the 22nd. And so this is all connected. This full moon lunar eclipse is a super moon and it's close to the equinox. So all of those things combined, with the Virgo Pisces energy, I really feel like this is the time for water magic. It's the time for setting intentions in seeds, and maybe putting those seeds to bed for the winter. It's a time for really like looking at all that we're harvesting in our lives and really taking the wisdom and the maturation of that, learning and growing, and then stepping into the darker part of the year or the lighter part of the year, depending where we are in the world. And I feel like it's a really good time for making medicine as well, making tinctures and essences, and if you're into that, or harvesting things if we're in the north. If you're in the southern hemisphere, you could be seeing what is growing in the spring harvest. There's always really nourishing things to be eaten, like nettles and dandelions might be coming up. So this is a time for making medicine from what is growing wherever you are in the world. So I'm just going to play with these seeds for like the next part of this video because I'm really feeling like these special 8 seeds. You know, what are the 8 things that I want to plant for this winter time to come? Yeah, I'm gonna hold them in my hand through the whole video. I'm gonna jump into the live sky with you all. Okay, so the full moon lunar eclipse will be on the 18th of September at 3:34 in the GMT time zone. So you can see here, this is constellation Pisces, and you can see the moon is really on the border of Pisces, but it is conjoining with Neptune. Also on the other side in Aquarius is Saturn. So this is a really strong moon. This energy you could be feeling really dreamy, really cosmic, like really emotional and sensitive. And let's just go and look at Venus as well. He was talking about her. So look, she's at Spica. So how beautiful. What are our gifts? And when you think about Venus being here with Spica and Virgo, it's like Persephone with her mother, Demeter, before she goes into the underworld. You know, so this is like a time of the harvest. This is a time of gathering the seeds, but also a time of letting go as well. We're letting go of all that has grown this year and preparing to descend. Well, we are descending already in the north and going into the dark. And so this could also bring grief and sadness and a letting go of the way things have been, which with the lunar eclipse energy, it feels like there's a lot of focus on that at the minute, around this need to let go of the way that things have been. This amazing, I have to just zoom in on this comet as well, which is the Atlas comet. This is a really special comet. And yeah, I mean, this comet, you know, we'll probably never see it again. It's a really rare comet, and we will be able to see it in the sky in the next few weeks at the end of this month. And the thing about this comet, like being so close to the sun and, you know, coming through the constellation of Virgo and the way that it's going to be moving, let's just move forward in time so we can watch. Look, this is the comet. See how it's going? Woo, look at that. It's crossing over the sun in Virgo. And that's on the 9th. So this is around the solar eclipse time. What date is the solar eclipse? Let me just see. The 2nd of the 10th. So on the 2nd of the 10th, it's just here. It's getting closer. This is the time of the solar eclipse that will be happening in Virgo. And then the day after, a few days after, look, whoosh, it's crossing over the sun. So this, the 10th of the 10th, wow, look at that. I mean, it's powerful. So I feel like comets are messengers. They are like dragons, you know, they have a tail. The eclipses is all about the dragons. It's all about the Kundalini, our power, the life force, it's the nodes of the moon. So the eclipse is being connected to the head and tail of the dragon. You know, this is crossing over the south node just after the solar eclipse time. So it's going to be crossing over the south node of the moon, and it's going to bring a flash of awakening, of change, of insights from the outside of the solar system, you know, way out. It's bringing in information, frequency, light codes of dragon energy through the Virgo constellation. What on earth is this timing all about? You know, like, come on, the 10th of the 10th, we have got Mercury on Spica. Wow, Mercury being the messenger of the gods. Bringing us gifts from the gods, bringing us gifts of wisdom and knowledge from way out somewhere else, you know, in our solar system. this is going to be a time of really awakening the frequency of Virgo. And, you know, like the south node of the moon is like, it's where we've been. It's the past lives and the karma and all of that which we've already done. So thinking about our world and our culture and our humanity and all of the things that have happened connected to Virgo, you know, once upon a time, she was Isis. She still is Isis. She's the queen. She is the great mother energy. She's the priestess. She's the harvest mother. She's mature. She is wise. She is like late summer coming into autumn. She is the guardian of the gate into the underworld, Libra, Scorpio, Ophiuchus. She is like the wise elder woman. She's the midwife. She's like, she's so frigging amazing, right? And she is sovereign and she is powerful. She knows how to work with the seeds and the seasons and the cycles, you know, and she is like, so this messenger, wow, I'm getting really passionate, aren't I? So this messenger that's coming in, this dragon comet Atlas, is flying in just after this solar eclipse energy, which will be happening in Virgo, to awaken us out of our shackles of the Holy Virgin Mother, you know, Mother Mary, who is clean and sterile and in chains because she, you know, and all the Christianity side of it that's kind of like made us think or believe that Virgo is something that she is not, you know. And so when I'm connecting to Virgo as Isis energy, like she's the queen of heaven and she's so powerful, you know, and this power, once we're really remembering it, it's like that is releasing, that will release the south node, you know, and all of the past incarnations where we've been slaves and servants and, or like, you know, our power has been taken away from us, you know, and we've been in servitude and we've been bound in the binds of, you know, a structure or system, you know, to contain this great power. Like she takes up like 44 days it takes the sun to journey through Virgo. She takes up space. She's huge. You know, like in the ecliptic line, like she takes up the most space. You know, so how can we give this energy, this archetypal mother energy, more space? It's the menopausal woman. You know, it's that kind of gateway of transformation and initiation into great wisdom and knowledge, you know, and how like shamed and demonized has the menopausal woman become, you know, like this is a place of great power is what I'm trying to say. And so this comet coming in, you know, during this eclipse season, this great dragon from the outside of our cosmos is coming in to be like, wake up, you are not in chains. It's like this energy of liberation around the whole Virgo frequency that's kept us enslaved. Wow. I love it when this happens because I had no idea that was coming. Brilliant. Okay, so let's get back into my logical brain a bit before I explode with excitement. So going back to the full moon lunar eclipse, which is going to be on the 18th, this is where we're starting. So the start of this eclipse kind of, well, we're already in it. We're already in it with the new moon, but we're coming up to the fullness of this cycle, the full moon lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipse, the moon passes through the Earth's shadow. So we are going to be witnessing all of the shadows of the Earth, you know, all of our collective shadow and darkness. And, you know, that's not always easy to witness, right? It can be very confronting and challenging to really journey with the shadow. So I'm playing with the seeds. But also, you know, in that darkness, in the fertile soil of the womb is where these new seeds will be planted. So it's really getting to know that shadow. And there's great power in that, you know, like the energy of Virgo, like I said, she's not all like prim and proper and pretty. She is like I said in my new moon report, she is the wise elder woman that's out there harvesting all of the food, cutting back everything. You know, I had a whole afternoon yesterday in my garden cutting back brambles and bindweed and like, and I cut all my fingers and I had blooming thorn in my finger. I've got a plaster on it now. It's because my little girl put a unicorn plaster on my finger, bless her. So yes, what I was saying is like this energy of Virgo, it's not pretty. It's sweat, it's blood, it's scratches, it's like getting down and dirty and what needs to be done, you know? And but the thing with like the shadow of this energy, it's like, what are we doing it for? You know, so this takes us into this square with Mars. So south node of the moon and black moon Lilith in square to Mars. So this feels like, and he's in Gemini, he's like networking, quick, fast-paced, active kind of mind, very kind of logical and thinking about things and working things out and networking, talking, sharing, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's very fast. And so this like the square, it's like we're working so fast in this kind of like hamster wheel that Mars in opposition to Ceres in Sagittarius, like the Mars energy hasn't got that awareness of the cycles of nature, the cycles of life and of like the seasons and the seasons of the cosmos and the seasons of our life and the phases of our own menstrual cycle if we are bleeding, you know. So the Mars in opposition to Ceres in square to the south node, you know, he may be working up subconsciously really hard from an old place of servitude, of lack, of feeling not worthy, or that I have to be serving, you know, and but it might not be from an authentic place of really, truly, you know, who I really am and what I really want to be doing. And do I really honor that? Do we really honor that? You know, when we need to be more in the cycle of descending and resting and returning back and being quiet, you know, do we give that to ourselves or do we keep pushing and working very quickly and actively? You know, can we, you know, connect more to our dreams and our visions, you know, with the moon and Neptune, you know, to, because this is the challenge, isn't it? Because if we are constantly in the working and the working and we're always repeating, there's no space for the stopping, you know, so the new can never be born because we don't ever create the space for it. And I had a really, really powerful experience last year. I had the whole of January off. I mean, not off of mothering because I can never have that much time off of mothering, but everything else, I just had a massive break. And it was so powerful because in getting off the hamster wheel, you know, I spent the first 2 weeks completely sick because my body was like, well, you stopped, thank goodness. And then I got really sick because it was my body's way of purging all that doing. And it actually made me stop and lay down and really think about, well, why am I working so hard? What am I doing this for? And then I had a whole like month after that of shifting things, moving things, changing the way I've been doing things because I'd given myself that space to rest and reflect and slow down. And so this is the energy I feel of Mars opposing Ceres. Ceres is all about like the cycles of life and nurturing, taking care. It's about family and yeah, just feeling supported, you know. So Mars opposing Ceres, it's like the need to keep doing and networking and thinking and be logical and very in our brain. Whereas Ceres is like, if we could drop here into this deep cyclical wisdom that knows, you know, that with the cycle of life and nature, we slow down, we bring our seeds down into the earth and we rest, we let our body replenish, you know, that we can then come back with more authenticity when we rise, you know, rather than keep plodding on all the time. So Venus is also in square to Pluto. So we can see here, Venus in square. Venus square Pluto. So Pluto on this cusp in Sagittarius in retrograde and Venus in Virgo. Like I feel like Pluto here, which I've said before, is really questioning our beliefs and why we are the way we are, really looking at our psychology and philosophizing over what makes me me, you know, and why do I believe that? And so the energy of Venus in Virgo, you know, this could be bringing really kind of deep, deep, like stuff around like loss of love, could be bringing like feelings of like intensity within our relationships and transformations around our heart and all that we value. I also feel like there's an energy of jealousy, power struggles, possessiveness or manipulation, trying to get our needs met, you know, and there could be like a tension or a conflict coming in our relationships. And that will take us, if we're really like looking at ourselves in that part of our relationship and saying, why is that so triggering? Why are we in conflict here? And really taking it deep into that Pluto beliefs of why do I feel like that? And then we can see that Venus is opposing Chiron. So this is a real chance to really look at our insecurities around love, you know, really cultivating self-love and valuing ourselves, valuing our gifts, really reflecting on, you know, ways in which we've been wounded or hurt, and taking it into this place of like, yeah, reflection to really cultivate that sense of like, I love myself and taking ownership of our wounds, I feel. And then Chiron as well is in sextile to Jupiter. So healing can arise. It's an opportunity for reflection and growth, you know, from looking at, you know, looking at ourselves, looking at our wounds. And it feels like there's a kind of interesting aspect because Venus is in trine to Jupiter, you know, so it's like, what is stopping us from really, like Venus being a speaker, you know, what is really stopping us from stepping into our gifts? You know, all of that brilliance of who we really are, that seed of our child within, that young self that is just brilliant. You know, what is stopping us, you know, from really stepping into that? And I feel like there's just like this energy of perhaps like looking at our own personal values, how much we value ourselves, and how that can affect our ability to manifest, you know, abundance or growth or, you know, the physical things that we want in this world, be it money or possessions. And with the moon in conjunct Neptune in opposition to Black Moon Lilith, you know, I feel like this could really be bringing attention around our dreams, confusion, irritation, like we could be feeling like we've got all these dreams, but also Jupiter is in square to Mercury. You know, Mercury being in Leo, so creative and really like, wow, I can do all these things. And then the challenge is like maybe because Jupiter is still in square to Saturn. So maybe there's a reality check around discernment and responsibility. And is it really serving my highest good? This is about balancing our expansive ideas with realistic planning. And that takes us back to Ceres and the cycles of life, you know, and Venus being at the gateway of Spica and taking her seeds into the dark. It's like maybe we're not going to do it right now. Maybe it will be in the spring, you know, when Saturn meets with Neptune and we have our next load of eclipses and we have this energy of Uranus will be going direct, I believe, around early next year, lots of shifts and Saturn will be moving into Pisces, and then Uranus will, because Uranus is going back to Aries and then forward again into Taurus. So there's like big shifts happening early next year. So what is the work of now? Coming back to the lunar eclipse, it's looking at our unworthiness, looking at the places where we limit ourselves and we block ourselves from living the dream. So really coming back to my seeds that are still in my hand, what what are your dreams? What are your seeds? Really, truly, like from your authentic place. If you're really valuing yourself, we're really looking at all of our brilliance, like what is it that's keeping us blocked from that? And so this journey into the dark, and with this lunar eclipse and this chance to really see our shadow, it's like having that conversation with that part of ourselves. And it could be something that happened in our childhood, maybe our creativity was squashed, or we felt like, just imagining, like I remember this story of not my uncle, but somebody I know's uncle who couldn't do speeches because when he did a speech once when he was younger, everybody laughed at him because he read the wrong speech. So, that example is like something that's happened in the past, which has been so scary and traumatic. That means that because that person might be really good at giving speeches, but now would never try because of what happened in the past. So this could be a really good time around the time of this lunar eclipse and coming into the last quarter moon, and then our solar eclipse in Virgo, to attend to that part of us, because we deserve to shine. We deserve to be in our brilliance. We just shouldn't have to hold back and limit ourselves. And then, how much happiness and joy and fulfillment comes from being our truest, authentic soul essence self. We can shine, and we are all these notes. We all have our own unique note. And when we're all playing our own unique sound, it makes the most beautiful symphony of music. And we're all here to be our own soul seed essence, shining. So it feels like this eclipse energy, with this messenger, this Comet Atlas, which is coming in to awaken us, to shake us up from the shackles. Virgo has been enchained. She's huge. I'll say it again. She takes up space. So let's take up space in our brilliance. Let's let our true self shine. Let's let our hearts open and really be who we really are. But, we've got a big shadow to look at in what has been blocking us from really being that. And it's likely to do with fear of getting hurt, fear of being shamed, fear of abandonment, this place in the sky where the South Node and Lilith is must be near to Vinder Matrix, which is a fixed star, which has got a big connection with abandonment. There's Vinder Matrix. Yeah. So just need to go back to the 18th. Whoops. Sometimes I click it too fast, like I get so excited. Yeah, so right now you can see the sun is just journeying into the stars of Virgo as we speak. And then coming forward, it's going to come. Mercury's going to have its crossing of the sun, Kazimi. And here comes the comet. So around about this time, when we're coming into the end of September, beginning of October, this is going to be a really transformative time. And with Vinder Matrix star activated, we could be really looking at the shackles of the past and all that's kept us bound. And yeah, core wounds of abuse, abandonment, neglect, and feeling of like loss of things, loss of assets, loss of self. So yeah, big time. big time. So I'm going to go over to the last quarter moon in Gemini. And yes, so as I was sharing about Mars in opposition to Ceres, and Ceres being in T square to the nodes, like that's really important information because the eclipses are all about the north and south nodes of the moon. So it's where we're going and where we've been. So it's helping us to move from all that we've been into the North Node, our collective destiny. So moving more towards the head of the dragon, if we look at the head of the dragon, we've got Neptune and the North Node. This feels to me like we're moving more towards our dreams. We're moving more towards our soul and our collective symphony, our collective soul song, which I was sharing about before. So Mars will be in a grand cross aspect with the nose. I think he is as well at the full moon. Let's just double check. Yeah, so we've got, it is a grand cross. Yeah, so there's a grand cross at the full moon and it's still there at the last quarter moon with Mars. And so there is this tension of where we've been and where we're going. And it could feel like a real edge, like we have to meet. We have to meet with that shadow that's blocking us. We have to meet with all that's kept us in chains. And that could be, like I said, right at the beginning, it's really confronting to really look at that challenge and that block. I feel like we could often block ourselves because we want to protect ourselves from being hurt again, or it's like not wanting to be vulnerable. And that's also Mars, opposing Ceres. So with the last quarter moon, this is really the harvest of the cycle. So it's really in this eclipse portal, we're going to be really working with this energy of facing all that's blocking us from living the path of our dreams. Mercury will be with the sun. So we could be getting challenges coming up around our communication, or really bringing to light, that voice of the past, or the South Node is like all that we've done before. And we may even find a voice to be able to communicate what's blocking us, what's stopping us from moving forward. And so I feel like there's the real kind of energy of Venus and Spica is like really tuning into our dreams and our visions. And then, looking at the T-square with Mars, what's stopping us or blocking us from taking action to move towards those dreams? And with Mercury there as well and the sun, it's really illuminating that for us. So we may find that we can finally express it, and get it out and off our chest. The solar eclipse that comes in Virgo on the 2nd of October, we've got this huge stellium in Virgo. So just returning back to the energy of the Comet Atlas as well that's coming over around this time. It's like we may be able to get to see it, in the sky, and it should be beautiful, but hopefully we can see its tail and it will look like a real dragon. Just in time for the solar eclipse. So yeah, the solar eclipse being like the tail of the dragon, where it's on the south node. So this is going to be really, the new moon is going to move between the sun and the earth. So the moon blocks the sun's light. So when we're thinking about the feelings of the past, south node, and the shadows of the past, black moon Lilith, and the fears and the wounds, that block the light, block our light from shining, so the journey that we are on, that we're all on, is really, really meeting that shadow in ourselves, meeting that which blocks our light and why, and I will do another video on this solar eclipse in Virgo because I really want to get really into the chart and I don't want this to be a huge long video. But you can see it is a journey that we're on. And we will have another full moon in Pisces, because Pisces is also a very large constellation. And this full moon will be coming, and it will be conjoined with Chiron at the end of Pisces. So this, like I say, this whole eclipse season is about healing. It's about looking at our insecurities and cultivating self-love. And it's about finding healing that will enable us to shine again, you know, from the places that we may have blocked ourselves. And yeah, then we can hopefully step forward into, you know, the new year that will be coming in the springtime. And so these seeds that we're taking now into the winter for us in the north, you know, we could be really treasuring them inside and really having like an intimacy with those gifts. You know, maybe we could be singing the songs in the womb of the winter by the fire and writing the poems, or making some plans, you know, of, you know, but like I said, about balancing like our ideas when realistic planning. So we could be really planning through the winter months to really get ready to awaken the seeds in the spring. And so those of you who are in the southern hemisphere, you know, it's like we are still going to need to do realistic planning before things can grow. So in the time of the spring that you're in, coming into the summer, it's about planning your ideas in a way that is in alignment with our highest good. And yeah, checking in with reality, because we could be swept away by the grand possibilities of our dreams, you know, so there is a balancing act here. So yeah, so I will come back in a few weeks and I will do another report for for the solar eclipse in Virgo, and I'll do a whole new lunar cycle for that one. And yes, I hope that wherever you are in the world, you have an amazing full moon lunar eclipse, and yeah, an amazing autumn equinox or spring equinox, the time of balance between light and dark, the time of balance between day and night, the time of balance between shadows and light. And how can we find more balance, you know, within that? How can we really acknowledge that shadow? And then we can choose to ride our dragon rather than it riding us. Because when we're not working with the shadow, when we're not aware of the shadow, it rides us. But when we start to acknowledge it, we can befriend it and then ride that dragon home or ride that comet out into the cosmos. So yeah, keep an eye out for that amazing comet that's going to be flying over. Maybe we will see it. That would be amazing. And yeah, keep a lookout for the lunar eclipse as well. I mean, it won't be very much. It will just be a tiny little part of the moon that will be like a reddish color, but it will be our harvest moon for us in the north. And yeah, equinox energy, so really magical time. So yeah, I'm hoping some of that's helpful, and sending you all loads of love. Ciao for now.